meeting come to order for September 2025. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes, everybody stay standing for 1 second. Have a moment of silence for the 3 officers, Northern Regional, that were killed. Detective Sergeant Cody Becker, Detective Mark Baker, and Detective Isaiah Emmenheiser. Thank you. I'd like to acknowledge a quorum. All 3 of us are here. And open it up to public comment. Anybody? Mr. King, go ahead, you're up.
I think we met here in the last time we were signing in. Go ahead. They're not gonna start the clock on me yet. I hope I can get it in 3 minutes.
Tanya.
Thank you. So I want to read something from the C.S. Davidson, Paul King, 6829 Canterbury Road. I want to read something from the C.S. Davidson qualifications that they submitted under needs for the future.
What page you on, Paul?
Page 6. First sentence under needs for the future. Future water demand will be estimated using township planning data, including approved comprehensive plans and zoning maps, with particular attention to the designated growth areas such as Route 116 and West Longview Drive. Well, would like to remind everybody that West Longview Drive area is no longer in the designated growth area. That was taken out of that zoning and placed into agriculture, and that land now has been, I believe, approved for preserve. So there ain't gonna be no growth there.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Can I hear another hallelujah? Come on, brothers. So I think the grant that they submitted, the scope of work that they submitted is not accurate. And when you remove that designated, when you go back to the real zoning that it is, and that there can't be any growth, I really feel that section has to come out, not just should come out, but because of this wording, because of the scope that's been presented, I think it has to come out. The second item I'd like to talk about is I just provided you with copies of updated expense report on the water committee, on the water system. Currently we're at $62,532.84. Now, the money had to be spent. There's not much that could be done about it. But the 6,000 going over this grant doesn't have to be spent. Keep in mind that until the new infrastructures are put in place, the new systems, the new wells, the whatever, there could be an emergency or a repair that's gonna require additional funds. So I'm just asking that I get one more minute,
You're fine.
that, you keep in mind, if you keep going back to the well, pun intended, it's not gonna, it becomes a little harder. So I would suggest that kind of try to also think of this as banking that money in case something of an emergency nature occurs, that it's there. And that leads me to the final statement, comment on the rate. You wanna spend $2,200 to raise $6,000. Doesn't make sense to me in proportion. So if you look at your deficits, you're hovering around 6,000 operating expenses. So I would ask that the water committee, with the help of people in the township who are knowledgeable in this, tackle the rate issue, instead of allowing C.S. Davidson to analyze 3 different ways for 31 customers. I understand it's probably good engineering protocol, but I don't think it's what we need here. Keep in mind, you've got operating deficit, then you're gonna have increased operating expenses, and as C.S. Davidson points out in their report, in their proposal, you're gonna need some kind of safety money, some kind of reserve. So I would simply say, don't be shy in tackling the rate issue, but be cautious and realize that it may take 3 attempts over 3 years to get that rate to settle right down where it's covering the expenses, but not charging the residents too much that it becomes a moneymaker for the township. I don't think that'd be right either. So I'm just asking that you take that on and save that $2,200. That brings us down into the price of the grant, and I think the rest of the grant is very well needed, and I'm walking away with everything over here. So that's all I wanted to say on that. Is hope that you will consider removing that from your grant proposal and tackling the rate increase yourselves. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks for the
You're welcome.
additional time.
Anybody else have anything? You guys have anything for Paul?
I'm good.
Mr. Miller?
I don't know, Paul, you've been looking over my shoulder, I think.
And it's a nice view.
There's 2 things in the Davison quote that I personally don't see as necessary. One of them is what Paul mentioned, and the other is the existing conditions. I mean, we've been up there, we've seen the existing conditions. Everything is either obsolete or worn out. And as I understand it, the plan is to go to a completely different system of pumping and storage. So once that happens and it's on the line, so to speak, then the old stuff, we could put a lock on the door or something and walk away from it. Because everything in that concrete structure, from what I saw, and I think a lot of us saw it, it's not only worn out, it's obsolete. With the tank storage, things like pressure tanks and the motor control, everything's gotta change. So I don't see the point in spending a lot of time or money investigating what we know is already bad. So between those 2 items, we can get down to the $20,000 grant money that we have, and in my opinion, we haven't lessened the value of the groundwater source experimentation, which we can't do ourselves, and that'll end up with a hole in the ground that we can use in the future for, not only the future, but for the plan, because that's where the best source will be chosen for the new well.
Very good. Sure, we'll pick right back up with this in the rest of the agenda there. Anybody else for public comment? Jeff, go ahead.
Excuse me. So it looks like Jeff Lucas, 6520 Warfield Road. It looks like that existing conditions is its own line item.
Where is that at?
Yeah.
Cause this breakdown is like,
Right here's,
everything's just on that one, okay.
okay.
Yeah.
So it looks like it is its own line item, so I would think you wouldn't have to request for quotes if you chose not to buy that particular scope or any of the major blocks that you asked them to quote, because everybody quoted these major blocks. So whether you decide to remove the existing conditions, the future needs, or the rate study, I think those are all on the table for you to remove without rebidding this. So I think you've got flexibility there. And then when it comes to the rate study, if I can be of any assistance pulling that together and calculating and making a recommendation, I'm happy to volunteer time outside of this meeting to do so. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. I wish Anthony could have got or been here. Anybody else public comment? Going once. All right. Next, we have approval of last month's August 27th, 2025 minutes. The only thing I have, might not even been you.
It was me.
Item number 4, Heather misspelled her name. With that, I make the motion, we accept the minutes as amended.
I second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Anthony's not here, so we do not have an engineer report. Moving into my agenda items. First is, which these are basically both the same. Review proposal from CS Davidson received for the water system analysis and discuss any unnecessary sections to reduce cost. So, with that, and everything we've just talked about in public comment, I feel as though for sure the future needs part, I don't see any reason at all why we need that whatsoever. The existing condition part as a whole, the only thing in there that I would see possibly would be the water quality if we're gonna continue to use the old well, which I would assume we would, either as first source or second possible secondary source. So, I don't know that we can cut that whole thing out of there. But, I mean, if they could even trim that up,
Actually, the fees on page 10 aren't totally clear to me. There are 2 tasks involved with the future. And I guess when you look at the schedule, sort of deduce that there are some things in there that possibly could be removed. I don't think, to Paul's point, the rate study makes any sense, because a good bit of the rate study is engagement with the public. And the public is kind of here. It's becoming pretty clear that the rates are gonna have to go up, the only question is how to distribute it.
Right.
Quick question.
Yep.
Will you need that existing condition report for the larger grant that we're gonna apply for?
There again, this is stuff that probably be helpful if Anthony was here to kind of answer some of our questions, but if I remember correctly from last time, I think, you know, we can kind of pull some of that stuff out if we decided we didn't need it.
The impression I got was that the first thing we have to do is award it
To them.
to them, and we could conceivably, I guess, award it for $20,000 with an asterisk.
You got this much, make it work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's certain things we're willing to do without.
Right, but I do remember some of that stuff, which I know Jeff had been asking him, you know, as far as which ones are kind of open-ended. Which ones could possibly go over, and there was, I know, some, if I remember correctly, I don't remember which ones, but some of them were locked in.
The vast majority of them are open-ended. So having a little cushion won't hurt.
Yeah, we could basically end up awarding them 20,000 and they could end up going to, you know, I'm just saying they would or will, but could go over two or,
The only firm price I have a note for is the drilling.
I remember that.
Because it's the largest number on the page. Can we affirm that? You could
Well, the
also.
temptation is to dig into that, but that's the most valuable thing in the whole quotation.
Mhm. The other thing you could do is, you could say not to exceed 10% of the quoted number without written authorization, or something like that.
Can you do that with grant stuff?
Can you do that? I'm sorry?
Can you do that with grant stuff? Like basically we need this rate study or whatever, this is what I call it. Stop it.
So they gave you an estimate for
This
the,
is for the rate stuff, or the, so this is a lot of analysis, so it's not gonna say rate stuff or not. For the CBDG grant or whatever.
Hey Travis,
Yes, sir.
couple things. So they're giving you a proposal to do this analysis of our situation and then what they're ultimately gonna recommend. If you say to them that, you know, we're proceeding for a grant for $20,000 and that's what you have to spend, you can absolutely ask them to try to get to that number. And is it Jeff?
Jeff, yeah.
As Jeff said, you can absolutely ask them to agree to you can ask them to agree to not exceed that number, period, without your authorization. I could see where it would be possible that they need to do a certain amount of study on the existing system in order to apply for the grant, but let Davidson tell you that.
Right.
And I just don't think it's a big deal to get them to modify this and get to your number before you hand it to the supervisors.
Gotcha.
They're gonna tell you right out what they can and can't do. And this wasn't bid, right? We went to them as the township
No, it's
It
engineer.
was bid.
Three bidders.
Who were the other two?
HRG and Penn E&R.
And were they quite a bit higher?
36,000 was Penn E&R and
Versus
HRG
26.
was 32?
Something like that.
29.
2,900, right?
Okay.
If you change the terms of the bid, I think you'll have to rebid.
So, design services, let me think about this. Were you required to bid the design services, or did you choose to?
I think we had to have this analysis done to be able to, if I'm thinking correctly, we had to get this done to be able to apply for get the other grants.
Right,
So
and you were required to bid it?
I would almost assume so. I
Well-
can't say for sure.
Township policy. So it's over some threshold number.
Yeah,
which is
it's
kinda
over the
small.
threshold number. And plus it was this is a county grant.
This
As
is the CBDG grant or whatever they're saying.
So,
community development block grant. Paul's right, it's through the county.
So, yeah, you have to be careful on what you either have to take I think, a section out in whole, or not take it out at all. If you muddle with a section and say, well, how about this, how about that, you may have to put it out to bid again.
I agree with that.
And that's gonna cause delay. I'm not so sure, this may have been a contingency for some of the grants, but I know, just kind of remembering that we have been given other grants. So I don't know about that requirement.
So Paul, you're thinking this was, we didn't go to these three people and request quotes, this was put out to public bid, and these are the three that
Correct.
responded?
Correct.
It was advertised?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So, that, because I would like to, I mean, if I had a opportunity, I would say take out the quality of water study, but that's part of another grant. I don't quite understand that, because the water's tested almost daily. So the water, if it's not good, we should already know. So, but you can't take that out because it's part of that,
Task one.
test,
Part of what they are looking for.
yeah.
The-
So, again, maybe the suggestion, Mr. Miller, and the two suggestions I made, were, because they're whole sections, you might be able to remove them.
Well, the water quality currently, as set up in this proposal, includes the forever chemicals testing, which is a little bit more discipline and a lot more expense. So some of that should probably stay in this, because the test wells will be evaluated for the forever chemicals. And if we're gonna use the existing well, it only logically needs to be evaluated for the same standards.
Okay.
We don't currently test for forever chemicals, do we?
To quote Matt, when the state makes me do it, I'll do it.
Yeah. I remember that. Hey, what's said in the pump house stays in the pump house.
No, it's all open now.
Yeah, it's all open now.
So, I'm not following a lot, so I'm trying to take notes. So we're talking about whether we remove the entire existing conditions section or just part of it, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And some are saying we need everybody thinks the infrastructure and the capacity can go away.
Well, but that's where we're kinda hung up, if we can pick and choose, if we can take one section out of a section and still be okay, or if we
Right.
have to eliminate the whole section.
So, but what I'm asking is, we're all okay with eliminating
Future
infrastructure and, we're all okay with eliminating all of future needs?
I'm pretty sure that's where we're at.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, so future needs is a pretty easy one, where we can say we knocked that 26 back to, yeah, just about
Okay.
22 and change.
okay. And on the existing conditions,
We'll leave them alone,
okay,
because you won't need to.
okay.
I mean, really?
To me, this is still confusing the way the tasks are laid out, because there's two labeled future needs.
Yeah, so the task number 3 in the other column is a typo. It should be rate study.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a cut and paste error.
Oh, you think?
I verified it last time when we were here, we talked about it. So I actually took Paul's document here and wrote on it. It's actually the rate study, so when the person who put this together cut and pasted, he or she just didn't change the title.
Well, now that you wrote on it, it's yours.
That was my
I
plan.
got no one.
That was my plan all along.
This document's out of control.
So the next piece of discussion was for the rate study part. I'm a little up in the air on that, only for the sole fact of just, if somebody else does it and tells us and says, hey, this is where you're at, this is what you need, as compared to the people that are collecting the money come up with it and say. At least we can say, we have, engineers collect the data and, this is what they came up with, instead of us saying we have a group of people and this is what they came up with. I'm not saying that the group of people wouldn't be right or out of line, but at least we can say it was done professionally.
Well, and there is a section to include the customers.
What are you
in your
referring
proposal. What do they call it, community engagement or something?
Mm-hmm.
Just
Well,
my
we
thoughts.
could leave that alone based on that comment and then go back to the existing conditions. Cause to follow this line of thinking, we gotta find $6,000.
I think either way, I feel taking that 4,000 out, that gets us a whole lot closer. No, I know it's not the entire 6,000, but, yes, sir, Mr. Longstreth.
You've got to get to that 26,000, right, to completely get rolling?
That's what they're saying. I mean, now granted, like I say, the one part, it definitely makes no sense, the future needs section. So on there, that would only be what?
2677.
That was only 26.
26.
Yeah, we've only
So
got
I was
26
getting
so
goofed
far.
up there at the
Yeah.
rate study part, looking at
Yeah.
the two wrong labeled things, thinking it was 4,000.
Is the rate study to study the rates as they are now with the existing system, or when we get the new system?
New.
The new system, okay.
Cause right now we know what's going on.
Sorry, you're still on, Glenn, go ahead.
But you're not gonna be able to act on a rate increase fast enough to get to that point, right? To get started.
I mean, it doesn't hinge, us making a rate change that does not hinge on getting this or doing anything. This is just basically, saying, this is where you should be, or if you.
What would we be discussing if you had the 26,000?
Basically, it would be just them getting the green light to do everything as they have it proposed, which it's still chance to go over,
Yeah.
which I do like the idea if we, put that in our motion or recommendation to supervisors that anything over such a percent require approval, or at least, a good looking over. So, yes, sir. Or sorry, are you done, Glenn?
No, not really.
Okay, go ahead, lay it on me.
Well, if you had the 26,000, then what are the serious decisions that you have to make that maybe stop and moving forward here?
So we have a $20,000 grant.
Okay.
The 6,000's the holdup.
Okay.
Okay. So basically, once we get, correct me if I'm wrong, once we get the 26, once we get this rate analysis or the water analysis, water system analysis, then we can move along with the rest of the grants to continue with the
That's my
upgrades.
understanding.
Okay. So basically, we have $6,000 standing in our way of the LSA grant's $980,000 grant, and I think we already got the. So the local share was 156. That was for all the security stuff, which I don't think anything would happen yet with that. And the 20,000 is the community block grant. Yeah. So we're just trying to trim it up a little bit here, take out some unneeded sections to get us down where the township doesn't incur as much cost.
So the future grants, so we need, I'm sorry,
Sorry.
go ahead.
Well, suppose you get a $6,000 gift earmarked for this project. Is that possible?
I don't know how that would be handled, but it wouldn't even require that. because like I say, for sure, 26,000, or, yeah, Jesus, 2,677.16, we are for sure cutting out. So that brings us down to 24, roughly, just using even numbers. So we're down to 4,000.
Last question.
Hang on one second. Glenn's still on the floor.
Sorry.
Well, there's that amount of money available, not through the township, but through an anonymous donor. Is that possible?
That would probably be either a solicitor question, or I'm not sure how that would go, quite honestly.
If you need legal counsel for that.
It's $3,372.
If we just cut in the rate, the future needs brings it to 23,
33.
23.33.
33.72. 3,372.
Paul, one second, Jeff was next.
I was gonna answer
Okay.
the question
You go ahead.
from Glenn. So, it can be done.
Oh, I'm
You-
sure it can be done, I'm just not
you can,
sure that,
any person can give a gift to any municipality. So in this case, any person could give to this municipality a $6,000 gift and they can designate
earmarked for it.
it specifically to be used for the feasibility grant overage. Absolutely can be done that way. Now, the person making the grant, and this is where I'm not answering the question, needs to ask themselves, is the $6,000 worth it? And if you all are deciding that 26 something for future needs isn't, my appeal was just to get you to think about the 6,000. If you have to say, we can't cut it, we can't get down to the bare 20, then that's fine. You've had a complete and thorough discussion about it. But I think you're all in agreement to 86 to 1 section, and if you need to keep the others for whatever reason, then that's the way it goes, because you have to move forward on this.
I agree, I would really like to see this get rolling to get everything.
So if you cut out the future needs, then that anonymous individual would only have to give $3,333.
Correct. So, any more questions, comment? 1 second. Were you done? I don't wanna cut you off.
Huh?
I just said if you were done.
I'll just make a comment here, because I've already thought about it, and I've already had a discussion about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to do that as an anonymous donor to get the project off the ground. I don't wanna say that, but to me, it's worth it for the sake of the community
Yeah.
and the township.
Well, the
Because
board-
we can't, this has to be done.
Yeah, I agree.
And, and I'm not saying it because I wanna say it. I'm saying it because I have to say it.
I appreciate that, Glenn. I'm sure,
Okay.
I know the rest of the board, and I'm sure everybody on the system appreciates the kindness that you're throwing out there to them. But I also don't feel that it should boil down to being your responsibility.
I understand.
But, I know part of me says, this is also, it's a township owned, it's the township's responsibility, as it is roads and everything else that we pay to maintain with taxpayer dollars. But I'd also, in the same breath, it should be as fiscally responsible
Right.
as it can be.
Yep.
But, I agree 100%, the future needs part, get her out. Why don't we hold that thought for 1 second? All right, hang on now. Let's,
Just wanna write it down.
what does the rest of the board feel about the rate study part? So we're definitely getting the future needs out. What do you guys feel with the rate study?
I probably don't understand it well enough to speak intelligently to it, but my gut feeling is it's numbers. It's something that can be done by a mathematic person, whereas some of this other stuff, you need some engineering degrees and all of that to figure it out. So my gut tells me we can just, talk to the community, talk to the board, figure out how do we want to divvy this up. Because honestly, the water company has done that for 50 years. So, but again, I don't know enough to speak intelligently.
Right, Alan?
Well, fundamentally, the water company has to stand on its own 2 feet. And the township basically has management infrastructure to handle bill paying and all that sort of stuff that there doesn't seem to be any expense for. Now, when we need to hire an engineer or a lawyer, then that's another expense that is by its nature just the cost of doing business to have your own water company. Granted, those of us who have wells don't have to hire lawyers or engineers, but it's just this different group of people that are gonna have to understand. And I'm struggling with, I understand the need to blame it on somebody else, but this is a relatively small community that's fairly well represented here, and we should be able to do that as a community rather than paying somebody $3,000 or $4,000 to do it.
Another question on that. If we pull the rate study out of this, is it something that can go into some of the other grants? Can it be done down the line with other grant money?
That would be an Anthony question.
Okay.
I would surely think. You have anything on that, Andy? Any idea?
I'm afraid you're gonna need the rate study from the engineer for the purposes of acquiring the grant. But you can let them tell you that.
So I would assume we could make the recommendation to cut it out. And if Anthony's at the meeting, supervisors can change it how if he comes and says, if you do that, it's gotta be this, this, that, and it's this much longer. They can choose so to add it. So that sounds like as a board, we take them both out. Rate study and future needs. Unless the rate study part is
Absolutely.
required.
Yeah, there you go.
For a grant.
That's probably how it works.
Sorry, Jeff, go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. The scope of work detail on the rate study says they're gonna look at historical bills that we paid for our operating costs. So it's a backward-looking study, and then a projection. I don't think it has anything to do with the new system, when that's said and done. So I think that I agree with all that you guys are thinking about. You could extract that quite easily, and we have all the data, probably right over there on a computer. I think we could do it ourselves,
There's a lot of history right here.
Unless it's required for the grant.
unless it's required for the grant. I agree.
Justin, you had your hand up, or did you?
I just had a thought, or a comment about Glenn's generous offer. Was it last rec board meeting, or the one before that? We had the, donation forms approved by the board of supervisors for any donations made to the municipality, made to the township. So that could easily be used for something like this. And those forms are already approved by the board, so.
And it was generic, it wasn't geared to recreation.
Correct, you could earmark it for whatever you wanted to donate it for.
Yeah, so that worked out good.
So you could easily that part of the process is done, so
Gotcha.
that was my only call on that.
Thank you.
And if I have a copy out in the pickup, if you wanna see one.
Well, hopefully, if we get that, if we do not need either one of those, we should be sitting pretty good and would not need it, which would be my hope. But if we need it, we need it, and it is what it is at that point. Any more discussion? Oh, jeez. So go ahead, Lori.
I had a question about the old well. If what is there is obsolete, how do those costs to upgrade that? When do those costs come into play?
Part of the new grant,
Yeah.
because what we're gonna have to do probably is put a new pump down the existing hole in the ground. There'll be distribution piping that's gonna have to be tied together to get to the tanks. And the control system to make all that work in unison is gonna have to be changed. So the water quality and the hole in the ground are things that we have to consider. Everything else is gonna get pulled out and replaced.
You'll still use the existing well.
Right.
Now, whether that's our predominant well or our, or if they rotate back and forth or however it'll be, but yeah, just all the old stuff that's down in there, which I don't think half of it was even hooked up. It was
No, it was
old
just-
pressure tanks.
It gets obsoleted and they just close it out and move on.
Easier let it in there and put new in than take the old out.
It's mostly pressure tanks, which we don't need anymore. Because the tank system doesn't require the bladder or the air or anything.
Thank you.
Terry Lynn?
With removing the future needs in the rate study, what does that bring that new balance down? Cause after the future needs was 3372.
Yeah, it'd be like 6,600 or 700 and change.
So
19,334.
We got enough to go out for supper.
19, what was it?
334. 19,334.
Okay, even under the 20?
Yeah.
Okay,
And like 6 cents. I deleted it, but like 6 cents.
19,324. 34.
Yeah, with the proviso, we gotta get it past the county.
Yeah, cause I think Anthony did say that it has to go back to them for final approval, right?
If I remember correctly.
What he said was curious. I can see it from a bidder's point of view. He basically said, well, if you make changes after it's awarded, you don't have to go back to the county.
Oh, I missed that.
I'm pretty confident he said that.
So then,
Lori would be able to tell us.
Yeah, but, oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Paul.
You can make changes after it's awarded, but then you lose your warranties, guarantees, because it was a change order. That happened to, the township on Gits Run Road.
Good point.
Well, if we use that experience, we can probably influence writing the purchase order to make sure all warranties are kept, even though we've changed it.
Yeah, put conditions in it.
Right.
Excuse me.
Because somewhere lurking behind us is the need to move this project along.
Gotcha. Yeah, one way or the other, I mean, we gotta get through this, for sure. So, we all done?
I have drafted what I think we're recommending. You tell me, I'm not
Perfect.
proposing this yet. You tell me if I have it right.
Perfect.
we recommend that the Board of Supervisors award CS Davis the proposal under the following conditions. The future needs are removed. The rate study is removed, assuming it is not required for the grant. And the third condition is that donations will cover any amount over $20,000. Okay, that's what I heard.
I don't really
Any
want that
amount
quite
up
that.
to,
Any amount
up to.
up to
I would say,
6.
take C out of there and just, we're let that as,
Yeah.
I would add the, anything over approved, how did we say that earlier? Anything over approved, over grant total would require, do we wanna make a percentage, so much? Anything over 10? How do we have that?
So say, for example, the Board of Supervisors only takes one of your recommendations to eliminate, say, the rate study, then you're back up over the 20. I think at that point, it's inappropriate to say donations would cover the balance. I think that's inappropriate. I think that again would be left up to the individuals.
Yeah.
And they can decide based on
Yeah,
the
that-
action of the Board of Supervisors.
That part doesn't need in there. What I was referring to was the part about if Davidson, incurs a bunch of costs in some sections and it goes over. How have we said that? Anything?
They've estimated numbers for all of the potential costs, and they've given us estimates. So you could say 10% over estimates, which give you 10% over the 19,000, whatever it was, which would put you over the 20. So you might wanna be tighter. Well, the big number, 12,000, can't change. So if it's 19,006, 19,005, and 12,000 of it's fixed.
Right,
So that's 7,000 that can move. You could say 10% over that, and you'll be right at $20,000.
Or do we just say any task exceeding 10%?
Yeah, and validate that the 12,000 is fixed, because that was his agreement last
Well, I
time.
think we don't have to even have that in there. It was enough people here and it's on video and we already know, I think, the way it's laid out there.
How do you decide?
So, did you get that?
Nope. I'm kinda hearing two different things. I'm hearing a percentage and I'm hearing 20,000. So do we wanna say any,
Any task, cause they have it labeled as tasks,
okay, that exceeds 10% of the estimate?
requires additional approval. Perfect. Now, once you get done there, rattle that all off again. That's quite a list of stuff you got.
We recommend the Board of Supervisors award CS Davis the proposal under the following conditions.
Can we add the total to that? The 19,334.06? So we are overly clear.
Award CS Davis and the proposal for 19,
It would, yeah. Grant for 19,000. There's the other thing. Do we have to use the whole thing?
Well, why wouldn't you?
I'm just saying, cause we're 700 under. Do we?
Oh, no.
No? Okay. Do we want the total in there? Sorry, I'm trying to just be overly specific here.
I'm not sure we can. To me, if we're gonna make the award, we have to put 20,000 in there.
Okay, then we'll just let that out and just go on as you were. Sorry, I
nope,
interrupted
you're
you.
right. We recommend the Board of Supervisors award CS Davidson the proposal under the following conditions. A, future needs removed. Do you want me to put the 2,600 in there? Eliminating 26.
Or the task number.
Just say task 1, or future needs was
Okay, future needs, that was task
task 2.
2.
Just put future needs, parentheses, task 2.
Okay. B, rate study removed, which was task 3, assuming it is not required for the grant.
Perfect.
And C, any task that exceeds 10% over estimation requires additional approval.
Very good. Mr. King, what's your opinion?
I think this has been an excellent meeting, and, I'd like to say more, but my throat is as dry as a desert.
There's a water tank back there right around the corner. Are you making a recommendation?
Would you like me to say it again as an
Yeah, I don't
official
think you have to.
recommendation? Okay, everything I just said, I make as a recommendation.
I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Very good. Get that off the table. Next, Heather.
I got nothing.
Good. Alan.
I got nothing.
Good. Old business. We have any old business?
Nope,
Good. New business.
just covered it.
I got something.
Oh,
Goodness sake.
But we already kind of talked about it. I'd just like to put in our new business, just if, maybe the girls in the office can possibly get something together. I guess they wouldn't really even have to, but we do need to look at some kind of a increase, I would just assume, because I believe we're in the red again. So just to get it on the horizon, what we wanna do and how we wanna do it, and just getting it out there. And it sounds like everybody sees it.
When
So-
we get talking about that subject, I think we're going to have to find a way to, within the rates, start, for the lack of a better term, a savings account for future maintenance things that we don't anticipate happening right away. And we'd have to be careful with it so it doesn't turn out like Social Security, so somebody can get in there and snatch the money away.
I don't think we'll ever get into, like I say, the goal is just to be self-sustaining, so, but go ahead.
No, good, I thought you were finished.
No, yeah, that would be great,
Well, it's something to think about when we get
Yeah.
talking about it.
I know, and Paul and I had talked about this. I think one thing we really need to look at is once you get over the 5 or the 6,000?
5,000.
5,000. I think we could probably tune that in a little bit, instead of making,
The overages cost?
I think that would help some, if you're a heavy user. What's your feeling on that part, being a user,
So,
not enough
when the
user?
township first took it over, I went from roughly $100 bill to roughly a $700 bill. Because I felt so strongly on that my neighbors that didn't use 5,000 shouldn't have seen a 200% increase. I had teenage boys and they had all their friends. I was the one that should be footing that bill. So when they first took it over, I literally had $600 to $700 bills every quarter. And I didn't complain because my neighbors are 80, 90 years old. They don't use much water. They were used to paying $35 a month and now or $35 a quarter. Now they're paying $90 a quarter. So that was my proposal and the township took it. And I ended up with those big bills. Me and 3 other houses back there ended up with those great big bills. It was astronomical. It was astronomical. It has since leveled out, but that means my 80, 90-year-old neighbors are now paying, $120 when they were used to paying $35. So, and I'm not a big user anymore either. My kids I'm empty nest. I love my boys, but I don't like empty nest. So, yeah. We have historically, and Paul, I don't know if you could speak to this, but I believe there's a neighbor over on 116 that tends to fill a swimming pool. Is that still happening, do you know?
I've heard about
Okay,
it.
one time I went swimming there. I can't, they
As
keep
long as you
bringing
didn't
it back
fill
up
it.
again.
As long as you didn't fill it. And I personally feel like somebody that abuses a system like that should definitely feel it in their pocketbook. On the other hand, there was an elderly couple whose toilet, their second toilet was running, and they couldn't hear it. And it ran and it ran and it ran and it ran. I don't think they should have had to foot that bill. But I don't know. You're asking the wrong person.
Well, if it's interesting to anyone, York water rates per gallon are higher than the water company here.
I would hope so.
I don't know why, because it's a much bigger system,
They can spread it out.
and they can spread it out to a whole bunch of customers.
Yeah, but they're on the New York Stock Exchange.
So what I am,
And they pay the dividend for every year of their existence.
yeah, and somebody's making profit.
Right.
But it's a huge system.
Right, but what I would be glad to do is take a look if, you know, everybody's comfortable with, I don't need to see names, but if I can know what each home generally uses, I'll be glad to run a couple scenarios if we do it, you know, if we change the 5,000, if we change the prices, this is where everybody lands. I'm happy to run some of those numbers. I did a lot of that as the treasurer of the water company, so.
I would say you are more than fit for the job.
Was I just voluntold?
I'm not telling you
No.
anything, but if you feel so, and, don't, feel free to reach out
Yeah,
to,
sure.
Judy, Katie, for anything you need. I'm sure they'll be
Okay,
willing to give you whatever.
something
they
you'd like to
can.
have by the next meeting?
I mean, if you have time.
You're not dealing with snot rockets.
No more snow rockets.
Go ahead,
No more
Jeff.
snow rockets.
So that's on the revenue side of setting the rates, right? You're looking at, a strategy to set the rates.
That we can cover our costs and possibly,
And do we have the cost numbers that are segregated between capital and O&M? So you can understand what the costs are anticipated to be?
I assume everything is a line item.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, they're using QuickBooks now, so you can
Okay.
see it.
Okay, so then you can take all of the costs over the last X number of years and divide that by 31 in years, and then figure out what our costs are.
I don't know if we have it back that far.
No, I didn't say 31 years. Like, if we go back a couple of years,
Oh,
31 customers.
31 customers. Sorry.
Well, we only wanna see since the township took over, right? Cause the costs were astronomically different when. we
The
first-
pricing you paid or the cost to operate?
Both, everything was volunteer. That's how people had $35 a month,
I
a
see.
quarter water bills.
So,
Everything was volunteer.
Thanks to Mr. Claire.
Mr. Claire.
Did I hear it's 120 a quarter now per household?
152?
Yeah, I don't know, mine's like $250 a quarter.
So you're still going over.
Oh yeah, I'm still going over.
Jeez.
I smell good, don't I?
Go ahead, Paul.
Just wanted to, remind you about the timetable. The reorganizational meeting is normally when you set rate, the township sets rates. So if you could possibly, get the recommendation to the Board of Supervisors in December, then it could be incorporated in the January
New budgets.
yeah, that would,
Probably
timetable
wouldn't
wise,
hurt.
if you could. that
Maybe
would-
that'll be, maybe we can get it on an agenda
So if we approve
for
October.
November, and then it would have to
Yep.
be pushed to December BOS for approval, so we'd be able to make it if we decided next month.
So I bring it to next month's meeting.
You can put it on your agenda, yeah. Go ahead.
No, you have October and November.
Oh, yeah, what am I thinking? It says
I'll
December.
still shoot for October.
That's
Okay.
Jeff's,
I'll still
he
shoot for
said it was October already, that's his fault.
Yeah,
Got it in
That's right.
there.
most things are my fault.
I know the feeling.
And then the board of
I
supervisors
second
vote
that.
on it November, and then implement it
Oh,
January.
right, or, well, we have a month to play with that, but, yeah, I was thinking we were, for whatever reason, I was thinking we were in October.
Yep.
Okay, so there's for sure gonna be a meeting then.
Yep.
In October, mark your calendars, folks.
You and your dad on new business.
Anybody else, anything for new business? Nope. Okay, upcoming meeting, for sure, October 29th, 2025 at 5:30, right back here. With that, make a motion for adjournment,
Second it?
all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.